Good afternoon, folks. Robert Perry, September 23rd, 2014. The reason I pick up or rather the reason I sit here and talk is because Robert Perry. I'm running as a write-in candidate against Jack Reed. November 4th is the election day. It's coming up pretty quick. I need you to write my name in, Robert Scott Perry, to replace Jack Reed, if you believe in climate justice. And of course, economic justice. Let's talk a little bit about economic justice. Now, last night, it was the greatest success in quite some time for the climate justice crowd. That includes me. We took over Wall Street. We flooded it. We surrounded the bull. We shut down the streets. Only the mainstream media forgot to mention it. So, just in case you didn't know, the reason that I am so happy and the reason that today is such an important day to go on with the rest of the conversation is because we're winning the first part. Climate justice is not a question. It is not maybe we should fix the climate, maybe we should save the earth. The earth is in danger and we must save it. Now, on the way to climate justice, which Tim DeChristopher, one of our first great young leaders in the climate justice movement, the reason that he is so important and that his movement is so important is because if we don't save the earth, there is no planet B. No more need be said about that. Let's talk about why and what we can do to bring about economic justice. Now, the why is because if we're too busy trying to survive, if we have to pay for our water, if food becomes too expensive to buy, and your daily life is too expensive to live, then you're going to work 80 hours a week, and your kids are still going to be on the couch making that minimum wage. So we start out this way. And as senator, I would start out this way. $15 minimum wage, period. All jobs. They owe it to us. They stole it from us. We want it back. $15 minimum wage. 0.75% annual percentage rate on student loans. That's what the banks pay. That's what the students should pay. Not my original idea. A great idea, Mrs. Warren. Thank you, Senator Warren. Thank you. 0.75. No question about it. Raise the cap on Social Security. That means that you pay the same percentage of tax for your Social Security no matter how much money you make. If you make $100,000 a year or if you make $1 million a year, you pay the same percentage tax for Social Security. These are important economic fairness issues that if we don't change, we'll never win, because we'll be too busy trying to eat. We'll be too busy trying to survive. That's their plan. I don't need to keep mentioning my opponent. He failed. He's been there for a very long time, and they've done nothing. One thing he was involved in, just to bring him up, Jack Reed voted to deregulate the banks. That caused the 2008 banking crisis. He helped crash the banks. And in that period of time, he made buku bucks. He got richer and richer himself, personally, while the banks were stealing money. I'm not saying he was stealing money, but he was taking the same money they were. He was making the same fixed bets that they were. You see, senators have that ability to get information that we don't get, and so they know what bets to make. So he was getting richer and richer while we were moving closer and closer to the 2008 crisis. He knew that he had voted to deregulate the banks. He knew that he had caused the crisis. So what did he do? He immediately joined sides with the guys that wanted to fix it. That's what the neoliberals do. They say, I want to fix this, when it's too late and we have no choice. I'm on the side of the good guys as soon as the good guys start to win. We don't need neo-anything. We don't need neo-conservatives. We don't need neoliberals. We need real people. I will tell you my real opinion. My real opinion is that $15 is an absolute minimum wage. That we need to legalize and tax marijuana, because right now we're losing millions upon millions of dollars in taxes going to the mafia. So we're supporting the mafia by keeping marijuana illegal. We're making it impossible for the working man to pay attention to politics because we don't pay him enough. We need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We need to legalize marijuana. There are many issues upon which myself and Jack Reed would completely disagree. If I didn't think that I was right on every single one of those issues, and if I wasn't willing to debate him on every single one of those issues, I would not be here. I only started this trek to the White House, or excuse me, to the Senate, because I felt I had to. If we don't do it, then when? If we don't save the earth, if our generation doesn't save the earth, then as the earth burns, they will put us to death. The young generation who we are sentencing to death by not paying attention to the idea of renewable fuels, sustainable agriculture, safe drinking water. If we don't pay attention to these things, they won't take care of us. We're going to be in nursing homes and they're going to lock us in. These kids who we are sentencing to death, they're not going to babysit us after we destroy their earth. Now, we had this great success yesterday. We overtook one of the greatest enemies, which is Wall Street, the banksters. We surrounded the bull, and the media didn't mention it. But they did mention another thing that, though I agree with President Obama, we did what we had to do. We attacked ISIS. But we can't finance ISIS again. Not another kind of ISIS, not another kind of Al-Qaeda. The only way that we win any kind of a war is by hitting it and getting out. And that's what he did last night. Let's hope that President Obama continues that. But I'm here particularly, the breaking news today is that the mainstream media didn't mention to you that Occupy Wall Street, the 99%, the climate justice movement, all the social justice movements in the country joined together yesterday and over the weekend in New York City, and they climaxed yesterday by shutting Wall Street down. We won't give up. The climate justice movement is all of us. Those that take the other side are just wasting their time. Eventually they won't be able to breathe the air and they won't be able to drink the water either. Only the extremely wealthy 1% will be hiding under some kind of protective bubble from this earth that we're poisoning day by day. Don't give up, kids. We're coming. But I'll tell you this. Those who are old enough to vote, don't think twice. Send me to Washington. I will push every possible alternative to the current destruction of the earth. There are not two ways about it. If the energy is not sustainable, then we can't use it. No more oil, no more coal, no more natural gas, and for goodness sakes, there is no escape from the Cape. If the nuclear power plant on the Cape melts down, we're all dead and they're all dead. Shut down every nuclear power plant on Earth. If we have black operations, if we have a dark budget, if we have to have an offensive undercover military, it should be for two reasons. To save the physical earth and close down all the destructive polluting that we're doing, and to provide protection for the human rights of every human on earth. What we're doing now, it's all wrong. Our military protects oil, which destroys the earth. Our military needs to shut down all the oil rigs. Our military, if it needs to do anything, needs to shut down the governments that assault their own little children. In Africa, they assault their own little children by chopping off the little girls. Things that matter. We have to protect human rights. One thing that really matters, that I know Jack Reed is not ready to do, is to sign what I call the Human Rights Treaty. It's actually the Convention on Human Rights, the United Nations Convention on Human Rights. We need to sign it now. We need to become part of the World Court now. We need to protect human rights now. Because if we don't protect human rights, if we don't make sure that the net is neutral, that all the news is the honest news, how can we fight the war for climate justice? If they try to stop us from knowing, well, I don't want to think about what that might be. Let Rhode Island participate in the solution. Send me to Washington, and I won't do anything but try to make your lives better, longer, cleaner. Let's do it. Send me to Washington, D.C. Make Rhode Island the leader in saving the earth. Thank you.